Here's the real story. This is the true story. More and more beaches are closing to swimmers as shark sightings are increasing along the eastern seaboard, just as you mentioned in the Jaws movie and book, of course. That's what it was based on. Murderous sharks. And now maybe reality is following fiction, or at least fictionalized reality. And so to get the straight skinny on this Shark Week, George Burgess is with us, the coordinator of museum operations and the director of the Florida program for shark research and the International Shark Attack File. Nice to meet you. Good morning.
Good to be with you. It sounds like we've already been talking about sharks.
Yeah, we have, because those images are unbelievable. You've got to say that. The way they get the cameras close to the sharks now on Discovery Channel is fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is.
Do you swim in the ocean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you get nervous? Is there reason to be nervous when you swim in the ocean?
No, I'm not nervous, but I am respectful. Of course, we need to remember when we enter the sea that this is a wilderness experience. Any wilderness experience is accompanied by some degree of risk, and so we should be respectful of the potential dangers that occur in the wilderness.
They will often say that the chances of getting attacked by a shark are very, very small. Is that true?
That is true. Each year we have 65 or so incidents worldwide, resulting in 4 fatalities. So, the odds of you being attacked, far less dying as an individual, are pretty much slim to none.
Well, my odds are 0 because I don't swim in the ocean very often. But when I do, I sure think about it. And is that because of Hollywood and because of these images and the fact that we read about it in the news now? Or, I mean, is there some basis to my fear?
Well, there may be a little of each. Of course, I don't know how old you are, but you've been around since 1975. You certainly are in the generation that grew up with the movie and the book Jaws and all the accompanying hype that have occurred since then in the popular press. The fact is that the press has picked up on that sort of thing and often works on our fears. But it's also possible that you just have a little bit of sort of natural concern that may be genetic. Certainly we as humans, at one point in our lives, back in the caveman days, had to be very careful, sort of looking over our shoulder all the time for wild bears and lions and so forth that could have done us harm back then. So, this is the last of the animal predators that we really have to be concerned about.
Well, we've heard about bear attacks now out in the Great West that we hadn't heard about before. A bear that seemed to have a taste for blood and attacked 2 or 3 people in one day. We'll continue with George Burgess, the coordinator of museum operations at the Florida program for shark research, in just 4 minutes. It's Michael Patrick Shields on Friday morning. World correspondent Nicky Hale has joined us. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
This music in the background, this Hawaiian music, is in honor of producer Amanda Wall, who's on her way to her honeymoon in Maui tomorrow. And it makes me want to ask George Burgess, the shark expert, should she go in the waters in Maui? Is Hawaii notorious for sharks? George, is Hawaii notorious for sharks?
Yeah, absolutely. It's of course, a tropical environment, and tiger sharks are characteristic of that kind of area. So it's a big place for encounters with tiger sharks.
Ooh, good place to encounter a tiger shark.
Well, it's a good thing I plan on just laying on the beach with the pina colada.
I was going to say, swimming pool only.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
no, but sharks can come up on the beach. Don't the sharks come up on the beach, George, in like the Panama City, Florida area, the Panhandle? Those bull sharks come right up on the beach, don't they?
Well, they'll come pretty close to it, that's for sure. But, there's tigers on beaches almost everywhere. Most of them are wearing jams and swimming trunks.
Land sharks.
Well, the room's starting to look a little bit better then.
What is the worst? I mean, we hear about the Great Barrier Reef. We hear about Daytona Beach. Where is the largest concentration of sharks?
Well, the place that has the most number of incidents in any given year is near Daytona Beach, in a place called New Smyrna Beach, and that's in central Florida coast. That area, of course, is a highly utilized area by both Florida residents and tourists, and is in fact the number one surfing area for local surfers. And as a result, you're getting high concentrations of people in an area where there are high concentrations of sharks, and so you get a lot of these smaller type shark bites, ones that we call hit and run attacks, that involve a quick grab and a let go by smaller sharks on humans. And so that's the place that has the most numerically. Obviously, the types of injuries that come out of these kinds of attacks are very small. Areas that have had some of the larger sort of attacks with more consequence include the area of the central western California coast, an area that's been dubiously called the Red Triangle, where there's a lot of white shark attacks on humans. Other areas include an area off of South Africa near Durban, where again we've got white sharks involved, and the certain areas off of the southern Australian coast, where you have either white sharks or bull sharks as well.
Too many to keep count.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Is it just that the media is more pervasive now that we hear about these attacks? I'm looking at a story right now here in Jacksonville where somebody was in chest-deep water and the shark took a bite out of her arm. 150 stitches from one little bite.